So the Eagles just got arguably their best win of the season against the Rams, in which the offense continued to show improvements while also finding a way to get Dallas Goedert involved, as he had a big game and so did multiple other guys, including Jalen Hurts, who may have been fully unlocked this week, as he did a lot of something we haven't seen too much of this year. And Hurts also made history as he joined some legendary NFL company with this win. And then defensively, the Birds really put the NFL on notice, as the coaching was much better and a few guys, particularly Haason Reddick and Jalen Carter, were absolute monsters in this game. Still, all this doesn't mean that the game was perfect, as the Eagles still got some stuff to clean up, so we're going to talk about all that in this video today, so let's not waste any time and get straight into it. So the Eagles have now started 5-0 again, just like they did last season, which marks the first time the Birds have started 5-0 in back-to-back years in the history of their franchise, so it truly does seem like we could be entering a special era of Eagles football if we didn't know that already, and in this game specifically, they continue to show flashes of just how special they can be this season on both sides of the ball. And that started on the offensive end, as the Eagles got the ball to begin the game, and just like we saw from them consistently last year, they were able to easily march right down the field right away. I mean, from the jump, their offense was clicking, particularly the passing game, as Jalen Hurts went 6 for 7 on the opening drive, accurately delivering passes to a variety of receivers, and on this drive specifically, it was Dallas Goedert who was the main guy on the receiving end of those passes, as he had 4 catches on the opening drive, including the eventual touchdown that came on 3rd and goal from 6 yards out. That was an absolute laser from Jalen Hurts, where he was able to fit this ball into a very tight window between a couple defenders, and Goedert came up with a very nice reception. So it was definitely great to see that Goedert was so involved early, because everyone was really waiting for this. I mean, obviously Goedert didn't have the start to the year that the fans or he had wanted. He didn't record a single catch in the first game versus the Patriots, and then heading into week 5, he hadn't even cracked 100 yards receiving yet, but I think everyone kind of knew that it was just a matter of time before Goedert got his, and in this game he certainly did, as this opening drive was the start of a really good overall day for the talented tight end, as Goedert finished the game with 8 catches for 117 yards and a touchdown. So again, it was great to see him get going, and huge credit to Jalen Hurts and the coaching staff for making it a point of emphasis to utilize him better. And also huge credit to Goedert for never complaining and just putting his head down, doing his job, and waiting for his moment. It definitely paid off, and now let's hope that he continues to have a big impact on games throughout the rest of the season in terms of catching passes, because when he's going, that only helps the Eagles' overall passing attack. And obviously that passing attack is something that had been in question in the early parts of the season for the Birds, and while no, it's not perfect, you can definitely see the drastic improvement from the passing offense in week 1 until this game versus the Rams. I mean, things just seem to be getting smoother and smoother with each passing week, and I think you could just tell from the jump on that opening drive that this had the potential to be an explosive day through the air. Then if you look at the Eagles' first defensive drive, I think that the takeaway there could be that this game could have potentially become a shootout, because after seeing that first drive that the Rams had on offense, it seemed like the defense was going to have a really hard time stopping them all day long, because on that opening drive for the Rams, they marched right down the field as well, getting multiple big third down conversions. Cooper Kupp on his first drive of the entire season was immediately a difference maker, as he was cooking from the slot with the Eagles' backup options in Mario Goodrich and Eli Ricks not being able to hang with him, and it just seemed like he was about ready to have an insane game, and the Rams offense, again, just in general, looked like they were about to have a big performance after this opening drive, which they capped off with a nice touchdown to Tutu Atwell on a great throw from Matthew Stafford from 3 yards out. So it definitely was not an ideal start for the Eagles defense whatsoever. And although they did get a stop on the Rams' next offensive possession, they just weren't able to stop the Rams offense again in a crucial situation at the end of the half, where the Rams were able to again drive the length of the field and score a touchdown, this time going to Puka Nacua over James Bradbury for a 22-yard score on what was a really great throw from Matthew Stafford and a great catch by Nacua. Now that play I thought was just good execution between the players. Matthew Stafford made a great throw and Nacua made an unbelievable catch. I thought Bradbury actually had some really good coverage on that play. It was just a better offensive play, and there was nothing the defense could have really done about that specifically. But before that, leading up to that play, I did have a problem with some of the conservative coverage that the Eagles were running, which allowed the Rams to get into position really quickly at the end of the half. So going into the second half, I definitely thought adjustments needed to be made on the defensive end. But for the Eagles offense, on the other hand, they had a really successful half moving the football, and now at this point, with Nacua just scoring that touchdown, the Eagles were down 14-10 with 3 timeouts, but the offense had just 32 seconds left to try and do anything, but they certainly were not ready to just go into half without trying to answer the Rams, who at this point, again, had the momentum. So Jalen Hurts came out, and he engineered an absolutely perfect drive to end off the half that started off with a 9-yard scramble. Then he made a huge throw to A.J. Brown, who caught the ball with one hand rather impressively, and then picked up 38 big yards, plus extra yards got tacked on because of a horse collar tackle. Then, with 7 seconds left, Hurts took a shot to the end zone where he wanted A.J. again, and he threw a nice back shoulder pass so only A.J. could get to it, and the defender ended up interfering with him, so the Eagles were able to get the ball on the 1-yard line with just 2 seconds left, where they went to none other than the brotherly shove to get the touchdown with no time left on the clock to put them up at half. I mean, that was a huge point in the game. The Eagles got the momentum right back after the Rams had just scored, and it got the sideline really fired up and feeling good going into halftime. And something else that was great about that play was Jalen Hurts made history on, as he became the only quarterback in NFL history to have 30 rushing touchdowns in his first 50 career games, so that's obviously amazing. And overall, this was just absolutely a perfect drive from Hurts, Brown, and the Eagles offense to go 75 yards in just 32 seconds, and it shows you just how lethal this offense can be when they're clicking like we know they can. I mean, just the offense as a whole had a very good day. They put up 454 total yards of offense, they had 28 first downs, they converted on third down at a high rate, going 13 for 18 in total, and they were effective both on the ground and in the air, with several guys having nice performances throughout. I mean, in addition to Goedert's big day, A.J. Brown went off for 6 catches for 127 yards. That's the third game in a row that A.J. Brown has had 100 plus receiving yards, so that's super impressive. DeAndre Swift was also effective in both the run and pass game, gaining over 100 total yards of offense, and then Jalen Hurts was really excellent for the most part against that Rams defense. He ended up going 25 for 38 for 303 yards and 2 total touchdowns. Now, it wasn't perfect. He also threw an interception after the Eagles had a nice long drive, and he did also miss a couple receivers on a few occasions, but still, nobody's ever going to have a mistake-free game, and for the most part, Hurts was really exceptional. He was accurate, he was decisive in his reads, and he consistently had that Eagles offense moving all game long, and a difference in Hurts' play specifically in this game as opposed to the previous 4 games was his effectiveness using his legs. I mean, this is something that obviously Hurts has been extremely effective at doing ever since he got into the league, and especially over the past 2 years since he's been the starter. But now this season, in his third year as the starter, he seemed to be a bit more hesitant to run. I think the coaching staff hasn't been designing as many runs for him, but in this game, it certainly seemed like he was set free from that a bit, as he looked a lot more aggressive in running the football. He converted several key third downs while running through contact, and he ended up with a total of 72 rushing yards on the day, so overall, it was just a great performance by Jalen Hurts. He also made some more history than just the rushing touchdowns record that I mentioned earlier, as Hurts now has won 22 of his last 23 regular season starts, making him just the 5th quarterback to do that since 1950, along with Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Jim McMahon, and Joe Montana. I mean, that's some pretty legendary company to be in. Plus, Hurts also has now led the Eagles to 11 straight road victories with him starting, making him the 5th quarterback to do that over the past 30 plus years, along with Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and Tony Romo. I mean, dude, Jalen is out here doing historic things, and people are still finding a way to hate on him, but whatever, he doesn't care. As he always says, winning is the main thing, and he's been doing a whole lot of that, most recently in this victory over the Rams. But aside from just Jalen Hurts in the offense, another big reason that the Eagles were able to get this win in LA has to do with the defense, as they were absolutely lights out in the second half, and they really put the NFL on notice with what they were able to do with this typically lethal Rams offense. So don't worry, we're going to get to that in just a minute, but real quick here, I just want to say, if you are enjoying this video and want to see others like it coming in the future, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Around 80% of the people that watch these videos are not subscribed. If you're one of those people, you've been consistently watching the videos, you're enjoying them, and you love the Philadelphia Eagles, and you don't want to miss any coverage coming throughout the rest of this season or moving into the future, make sure you fix that right now, subscribe and turn on notifications. I think that's a win-win for the both of us. Now with that being said, let's get back into the video. So coming out in the second half, the Eagles defense clearly made some adjustments, which made life a lot harder on the Rams offense. I mean, in the first half, Matthew Stafford was getting the ball out pretty quickly, he was comfortable in the pocket, and there wasn't too much pressure being put on him. But coming out in the second half, that all changed, as the Eagles pass rush was able to start getting more pressure and making Stafford uncomfortable. As on the second offensive play for the Rams in the second half, Jalen Carter was able to get a big sack on Stafford for a huge loss, and at this point, this was Jalen Carter's second sack of the game, making it his first 2-sack game in the NFL, as he had got the Eagles' lone sack in the first half, which was only for a 1-yard loss, so this sack was definitely much bigger, but those couple sacks add to the already impressive resume of Jalen Carter in just his very short NFL career so far. I mean, in this game specifically, he ended up with 4 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and 2 quarterback hits, and Carter now has a total of 25 pressures and 3.5 sacks in 5 career games, and those 3.5 sacks are the same amount as all the other rookie defensive tackles combined sack totals so far. I mean, Jalen Carter is already, I think, one of the best young players in the NFL. He's already dominating this early in his NFL career, and I'd go as far to say that he's already a star. I mean, the production he's had out on the field proves that, and the numbers don't lie. I mean, Carter has just been an absolute monster to start his career, and now he's going to look to continue to dominate like he did versus the Rams throughout the rest of this season. But speaking of being an absolute monster out on the field, someone else who fit that bill on Sunday was Haason Reddick. As after a slow start to the season in terms of getting sacks while wearing a cast on his thumb, Reddick has been great these past 2 weeks after getting that cast off, and in this week specifically, he completely ended the Rams' hopes on their final meaningful drive of the game. As on a 3rd down and 10 that the Rams just had to have, Reddick was able to get around the edge and get a sack on Matt Stafford, and then on the very next play on a 4th and 12, Reddick flew in and absolutely leveled Stafford to get his 2nd sack of the game on back-to-back plays, and they got the Rams offense off the field obviously, which then put the Eagles offense back out there with a 9-point cushion so that they could pretty much bleed the clock away from there. So these 2 plays from Reddick were just amazing, and they go to show you that just because he started the season slow, that doesn't mean he's not still here, and he's still very much one of the best pass rushers in the NFL. So overall, both Haason Reddick and Jalen Carter just had incredible performances. And then just for the defense as a whole, they did a phenomenal job in that second half, and Sean Desai, I think, deserves a lot of credit for making adjustments at halftime, which then led to the Rams not scoring at all or really being able to move the ball at all in the second half. So again, a tremendous amount of credit goes to him. And now, after this overall great performance from both the offense and the defense, the Eagles are sitting at 5-0, and they're just one of 2 remaining undefeated teams left in the league. And yeah, look, this game was not perfect, as has been the theme the entire year. The red zone offense in particular just needs to be better. They have to be more efficient down there. But again, we're early in the year, and we've seen improvement every single week, and this win, I feel like, was probably their most impressive win, because this Rams team is solid, and even though the Eagles didn't play their best, they were able to control this game and get out with the W. I mean, I've just been impressed with the way that this team has been able to find ways to win every single week all year long, and now, just 5 games in, the Birds already have a 2-game lead in the NFC East. As the team that sits in second place is the Dallas Cowboys, and they have a record of 3-2, and they just took a brutal loss on Sunday Night Football at the hands of the San Francisco 49ers by a score of 42-10. And I do think out of all the teams in the league, the 49ers and the Eagles are the top 2. And I think by the time that they meet the Niners in Week 13 in Philadelphia, they'll both be playing amazing football, and that game could very well be the game of the year, and it could also determine a lot in the NFC playoff race. I mean, it very well could be the deciding factor in who gets the number 1 seed. So I personally can't wait for that, and I think it's going to be a crazy good game, but that's a long ways away. And right now, I'm just excited that the Birds are 5-0. I'm very grateful. I obviously think they're one of the best teams in the league. There is an argument to be made that they are the best, and I'm also super excited that they got the chance to go 6-0 this week versus the Jets. So if you don't want to miss any coverage this week leading up to that game, make sure you subscribe, and again, turn on notifications so you don't miss when any videos are uploaded. Also, drop a like on this video if you did enjoy and want to show some support, and leave a comment down below. What did you think of the Eagles' Week 5 win over the Rams? And also, if you want to watch another Eagles video, you can go watch this one right here. And now, with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.